It's very important before you depave to understand exactly what kind of soil that you have. Clayey soils can be really detrimental to infiltration of stormwater and other moisture. And in fact, if you have too much of a clay in your soil, it could actually preclude you from really doing an effective depave. Or you'd have to take advanced measures in order to ensure proper drainage. So one thing that we do before we start depaving is to do a simple soil infiltration test. There are a number of different ways to do these. You'll see online probably that there are pit tests that you can do where you dig a large pit out and fill it with water. There's also this can test that I'm about to show you. They all work very similarly, and they're all based on this theory of basically trying to get soil saturated to begin with water, and then once that soil is saturated, adding additional water to see how much it absorbs over time. You're basically trying to recreate a stormwater condition where the soil is already saturated, and you want to see if it's going to continue to absorb more moisture. Obviously, you can imagine that if you have a depaved area and it's pretty clayey, it's going to hit that, and just like how the clay was used on the Erie Canal to line it, it's going to hold that moisture there and it's not going to allow it to drop. So the way we do one of these soil infiltration tests is you take a large coffee can, or in this case a garbanzo bean can, whatever you can find, and find a place of soil that is nearby where you plan to depave. The closer the better, so that you can ensure you're in the same soil type area. And in this case, we have a cleared out space. You want to make sure that all that grass, or most of it, is pulled away, because grass or other plants are going to affect basically your readings here. So you're going to take that can, you're going to utilize actually a tape measure, and you're going to go inside and you're going to measure up from the bottom. So I'm going to turn it like this, pull the tape measure out, fix it to the bottom here. Measuring up, we're going to take a mark, and we're going to mark it at 3 inches from the bottom. And then we're also going to mark up 4 inches from the bottom, so that in effect we've got 2 lines that are about 1 inch apart. It doesn't have to be exact, but you want to have about an inch apart here. So then once we've got that, we can set it here. A 2x4 is going to be helpful, or some other piece of lumber, something that you can use to distribute the weight across your can, because you're going to be pounding the can into the soil a little bit. What we're basically trying to do is we're creating kind of a channelized area where the water can't just shoot out to the sides, so it definitely has to infiltrate directly down into the soil. So with this 2x4 and a mallet or a hammer, we're going to go ahead and pound this thing in, and we're going to knock it in until we hit that first 3-inch mark. So at this point, we've knocked it in 3 inches. We've got the mark above here that's 1 inch above, and we're going to go ahead and add water to it. You can do that with a water bottle, a water pitcher, or in this case, a hose that we have nearby. Be careful not to use a hose attachment, because you don't want to obliterate the soil with the pressure. We're just going to turn it on slightly, get a little bit of a trickle going, and we're going to pour it up until we hit that 4-inch mark. All right, so we filled it up to the 4-inch mark, this right here, and we're going to go ahead and let that soak in. The hope is that it will take under an hour, and once we've done that, it should all be soaked in. We'll come back in an hour, and then we would add more, and at that point you want to start timing it. If you fall within 15 minutes or less of it draining in, that means you probably have pretty sandy, or at least a well-draining soil. So you have no problems. Depaving should absolutely work for you. If it takes above 30 minutes, that definitely means you have some clay in your soil, and it's going to be slowing that rate of infiltration. So you do want to be careful. You may want to consider utilizing 3/4 minus and things like that underneath areas, forming almost like a French drain, so you create a layer of drainage. And if it's taking more than an hour after the second pass of filling it with water, if it takes more than an hour to drain, that means you have some serious clay on your hands, and depaving may not be a good option for that area.